everyone! My name is Allyson and I'm here to talk about modern fantasy books. Now, this is a genre that is near and dear to my heart. It is a place where authors can just let their minds run free, where a reader can be anyone or go anywhere and do anything they can imagine. What is mere words on a page can transform your mind. You can be a boy wizard, a magical creature on a quest, or a mockingjay that overthrows a tyrannical government. But I won't be talking about any of those today. Those are very, very obvious choices. Instead, I'm going to discuss 5 modern fantasy novels that you may or may not have heard of, and I think they're real gems. Imagine if what you read from a book jumped off of the page and into your living room. You think it would be a dream come true, right? Well, it may be magical, but it could be very, very dangerous. This is what happens in the novel Inkheart by Cornelia Funk. When a mysterious man named Dustfinger arrives in the home of Meggie and her father Mo, Meggie learns that her father has the power to make things that he reads in books come to life in our world. She learns that Dustfinger is one such character read out of a book called Inkheart. She also learns that on the same night Dustfinger was released, so too was the book's villain, Capricorn. When Capricorn captures Mo, Meggie has to go on an adventure to free him with the help of an old book collector, an estranged author, and a boy right out of the Tales of 1001 Nights. There was not a sound to be heard but Mo's voice bringing the letters and words on the page to life. Only one member of his audience seemed immune by the magic of it. Face expressionless, pale eyes fixed on Mo, Capricorn sat there waiting for the clink of coins amidst the harmony of the words, for chests of damp wood heavy with gold and silver. Mo did not keep him waiting long. It happened that he was reading what Jim Hawkins, a boy not much older than Meggie when he embarked on his terrifying adventure, saw in the dark cave. Georges and Louises, doubloons and double guineas, moidores and sequins, the pictures of all the kings of Europe for the last 100 years, strange oriental pieces, stamped with what looked like wisps of strings or bits of spider webs, rounded pieces and square pieces, and pieces bored through the middle, as if to wear them around your neck. Nearly every variety of money in the world must, I think, have found a place in that collection. The maidservants were cleaning the last crumbs off the tables when coins suddenly came rolling over the bare wood, more and more and more of them. Some rolled as far as the steps. Capricorn's men came to life, bent the pit to pick up the glittering things bouncing off their boots, but then snatched back their hands. None of them dared touch the magic money, for what else could it be? Gold made of paper and printer's ink, and the sound of a human voice. My second book is a little bit different. Sophie thinks that she is nothing but the plain daughter of a hatter, and that she will live a boring life before dying all alone. But her life changes when she encounters the Witch of the Waste and is transformed into an elderly woman. Howl's Moving Castle by Diane Wynne Jones follows Sophie through her new life, where she becomes the cleaning lady for the feared wizard Howl in his magical floating castle. Sophie slowly gains more confidence in herself as she finds new friends within a fire demon, a turnip-head scarecrow, and even in the heartless wizard Howl himself. She reached for the very large black pan hanging on the closet wall, in spite of Michael trying to prevent her. "You don't understand," Michael said. "It's Calcifer, the fire demon. He won't bend his head to be cooked on for anyone but Howl." Sophie turned and looked at the fire demon. He flickered back at her wickedly. "I refuse to be exploited," he said. "You mean," Sophie said to Michael, "that you have to do without even a hot drink unless Howl is here?" Michael gave an embarrassed nod. "Then you're the one that's being exploited," said Sophie. "Give that here." She wrenched the pan from Michael's resisting fingers, plunged the bacon onto it, popped a handy wooden spoon into the egg basket, and marched with the lot into the fireplace. "Now, Calcifer," she said, "let's have no more nonsense. Bow down your head." "You can't make me," crackled the fire demon. "Oh, yes, I can," Sophie crackled back with the furiosity that had often stopped both her sisters in mid-flight. "If you don't, I shall pour water on you. Or I shall pick up these tongs and toss away both your logs," she added, as she got herself creakingly onto her knees by the hearth. There she whispered, "Or I can go back on our bargain, or tell Howl about it, can't I?" "Oh, curses!" Calcifer spat. "Why did you let her in here, Michael?" Sulkily he bent his blue face forward until all that could be seen was the ring of curly flames dancing on the logs. Howl's Moving Castle is an absolutely amazing adventure of friendship, love, and learning how to be confident in yourself. And if you're interested, it was also made into an absolutely beautiful animated movie by the amazing Hayao Miyazaki and his team at Studio Ghibli, and I recommend it entirely. My third book might be a little bit scarier. Have you ever wished that your parents were a little different? Well, you should be careful what you wish for. Coraline by Neil Gaiman is the story of Coraline Jones. She wishes her home wasn't old and shabby, that her parents would pay more attention to her, and that she could find out what's behind that mysterious little door in the living room. When she crawls through it, she is transported into a mirror world of her home, inhabited by her other mother and other father. They look exactly like her real parents, except they have buttons for eyes. The other world is full of wonder and magic, where her other parents adore and play with her. But there is darkness in this other world, and the other mother will do anything to keep Coraline with her, including kidnapping her parents. She almost had it when somebody said, "Coraline?" It sounded like her mother. Coraline went into the kitchen where the voice had come from. A woman stood in the kitchen with her back to Coraline. She looked like Coraline's mother, except her skin was as white as paper, only she was taller and thinner. Only her fingers were too long, and they never stopped moving, and her red fingernails were curved and sharp. "Coraline," the woman said, "is that you?" And she turned around. Her eyes were big black buttons. Coraline's tale is that of mystery, horror, and bravery that can happen inside one little girl. Coraline is going to need her wits if she ever wants to get back her parents and return to the real world. Neil Gaiman is a master of modern fantasy, and Coraline is a classic, but maybe don't read it in the dark. What do you get when you mix oddities, mystery, and an inclination for old photographs? Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, of course. Best-selling author Ransom Riggs tells the story of Jacob. After his father mysteriously dies, Jacob travels to Wales to learn more about his grandfather's life. He finds the orphanage in which his grandfather grew up, and learns about the strange and powerful children who lived there. With the help of a friend, he travels back in time to learn more about his family, the orphanage, and the mysterious caretaker, Miss Peregrine. A minute later, he came back holding an old cigar box. I leaned in to look as he drew out 4 wrinkled and yellowing snapshots. The first was a blurry picture of what looked like a suit of clothes with no person in them. Either that or the person didn't have a head. "Sure he's got a head," my grandfather said, grinning. "Only you can't see it." "Why not? Is he invisible?" "Hey, look at the brain on this one." He raised his eyebrows as if I'd surprised him with my powers of deduction. Millard, his name was. Funny kid. Sometimes he'd say, "Hey, Abe, I know what you did today." And he'd tell you where you'd been, what you had to eat, if you had picked your nose when you thought nobody was looking. Sometimes he'd follow you, quiet as a mouse, with no clothes on so you couldn't see him. Just watching. He shook his head. Of all the things, eh? My last recommendation is a little bit different than all of those. My last recommendation is about a little desert community where the sun is hot, the moon is beautiful, and mysterious lights pass overhead while we all pretend to sleep. Welcome to Night Vale. The best way to describe Welcome to Night Vale is it's as if fantasy and science fiction had a baby. And that baby loves conspiracy theories. Welcome to Night Vale, the novel, is based on Welcome to Night Vale, the podcast by Joseph Fink and Jeffrey Kramer. The book is a little different. The book follows 2 residents of Night Vale who we haven't had much information on before. Diane Creighton, the head of the Night Vale PTA, and Jackie Fierro, the forever 19-year-old proprietor of the local pawn shop. The book follows these 2 women as they try to solve the standard questions in life, such as, who is the man in the tan jacket and the deerskin suitcase? What is King City? And how do I stop my teen son from turning into a wolf spider? I actually have the book here. Pawn shops in Night Vale work like this. First, you need an item to pawn. To get this, you need a lot of time behind you, years spent living and existing, until you've reached a point where you believe that you exist, and that a physical item exists, and that the concept of ownership exists, and that, improbable as all of those are, These absurd beliefs line up in a way that results in you owning an item. Good job. Nicely done. Before you can offer Jackie your item, there will first be some hand washing, which is why there are bowls of purified water throughout the shop. You need to chant a little as you wash your hands. You, of course, should always chant when you wash your hands. It is only hygienic. When you have been properly purified, you will lay the item on the counter, and Jackie will consider it. Jackie will have her feet up on the counter. She will lean back. $11, she will say. You will not respond. You are ultimately unnecessary to this process. You are ultimately unnecessary. No, she will say, waving her hand, and then she will name her actual price. Usually it is money. Sometimes it is other things. Sometimes it is dreams, experiences, or visions. Then you will die, but only for a little while. The item will be given a price tag, $11. Everything in the pawn shop is that price, no matter what she loaned you for it. Once you are no longer dead, she will give you a ticket, which later you will be able to exchange for the item, or at any time you may look at the ticket and remember the item. Remembering the item is free. You are leaving this story now. You were only an example, and it is probably safer for you not to be in this story anyway. Welcome to Night Vale is a creepy, wonderful, fantastic read that combines the world of the podcast and the world of the novel together in a fantastic way. It pushes the boundaries of what modern fantasy is, as it mixes science fiction and fantasy together. And no matter how creepy or existential the world of Night Vale becomes, it always feels a little bit like home. And that is my book talk, you guys. Thank you so much for listening and sharing with me all of your different ideas. I hope that I introduced you to some fun new topics. I hope you check out the books that I recommended. And I hope you visit either your local bookstore or local library in order to get them and experience their wonderful stories. Thank you. Bye.